Psychology is a great science. However, it usually only focuses on ideas from the past century. What would people from before the scientific revolution think about today's ideas?
Ahoy! I am Sebastian Minks. As for the question I just asked, I will be answering it only considering what psychological science has found about the basic cognitive processes of thinking. And to give us a good critique on modern psychology, we have with us today Master William Shakespeare.
What rough-hewn, flat-mouthed language is this? What meanest thou?
I shall explain to you what many natural philosophers believe about how man thinks.
I see. Do go on. I shall see what ill-roasted contrivances have hatched in this age.
Alright, I shall begin with psychology's explanation of concepts. A concept is a category in someone's mind. As people go through life, they encounter things and ideas and classify them mentally into concepts. Does that make sense?
Yes, though thy tongue is like a wooden block. I do not see why they must call them concepts.
Yes, and in calling them concepts, they do not mean fanciful notions, as you would think. A concept, to modern people, is what you would call an ideal, the only difference being that the ideals are universal truths, while concepts are relative.
I see.
The idea of concepts explains that everyone's thoughts are built on their foundation of concepts, also called their worldview. Now, we must move on, looking at how people's minds solve problems.
Brilliant.
People solve problems in two ways, algorithms and heuristics. Algorithms are step-by-step ways to solve things. For example, there is the method of trial and error.
How can they say there are only two ways? Is there not an unlimited number of problems in this world? Is the human soul so simple?
These two categories are very broad. They encompass all that psychologists have empirically observed about problem solving. So as far as they have found, there are only two ways. I already explained algorithms. Heuristics, on the other hand, are not systematic. They solve problems by suggesting the most readily available and likely solutions.
I must admit, that is a rather broad category.
So people may misuse heuristics.
How?
They may make shallow-minded conclusions because they only consider the conclusion that is most available and agreeable to their mind. When the conclusion is the most available in their brains, psychologists call this the availability heuristic. When the conclusion is according to their basic concepts, it is called the representativeness heuristic.
It makes sense.
The other things that can cause mistakes in people's thoughts are these: overconfidence,
Understandable.
belief perseverance.
By perseverance, you mean dogmatism?
Yes, it is also similar to the confirmation bias, which judges inconsistently in order to satisfy the person thinking. Then there is the manipulative question that molds a person's answers.
A treacherous nudging.
Actually, that's what they call it.
Nudging?
Nudging. Then there is the mistake of judging through intuition.
What?
Intuition.
What kind of foppery is this?
Common sense, motherwit, passions, impulses, whatever you call it.
That is intuition.
Yes, one modern school book called Psychology in Everyday Life describes it by saying, intuition is recognition born of experience. It is unconscious. Intuition is usually adaptive, fast and frugal.
What is this I hear? Are you yet living?
That's enough. I must go on.
Hence, pursue thy silly point.
So far, our discourse has been on convergent thinking, where you find a single solution to a problem. Now, we must inspect divergent thinking. How many ways can you use a brick?
Throwing from boats. Crushing eggs. Releasing caught fish. Ooh, and building.
Here, psychologists must address the mystery of creativity.
A mystery? How?
Most scientists do not believe that God did the first creation. They believe everything exists of spontaneity. Therefore, creativity within the human mind is also spontaneous.
That is worse than intuition.
There are 5 things that fuel creativity that boil down to 2 things mainly. First, people must have minds open to spontaneous occurrences and the expertise to make those random occurrences mean something. Second, they must reside in places that encourage random connections, and there lies the scientific sources of creativity. One researcher says, "Creativity has been defined as the ability to produce output that is novel, useful, beneficial, and desired by an audience."
Perfectly mangled, wayward, pagan ideas.
What would you propose?
God is the first mover. He created first, and then created man with the capacity to create, inspired by the beauty of the heavens and the earth. Spontaneous thoughts do not exist. All thoughts are gifts of God to man, and those thoughts, especially those of creativity, manifest the grandeur and glory of our Creator.
And thus, the wisdom of a Reformation playwright exceeds that of a modern psychologist.
And no wonder at that, the knaves are blunt.
It is their total faith in observation that dulls them, as your haughtiness blunts your wisdom.
Oh, hey ho. Is that all your wise men know?
That is at least the foundation.
Is not the soul far broader than what they believe?
The natural philosophers, their modern name is scientists, believe only what they have observed.
So they cannot observe much more.
No, only very little outside of this framework, though what they find within it is often true.
Surely, natural philosophy, science you call it, cannot answer much despite its monstrous advances.
No, it can't.
Only God can do that.
Only he can.
Brilliant.
Brilliant indeed.